Well, it was an offensive explosion yesterday out at Red Wilson Field, and Coach Jason Brown here with me before the Firebirds take on the Hyannis Harborhawks right here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. And Coach, we saw home run after home run. We saw 2 grand slams. I got to say, are these guys pumped for the home run derby at YD this year?
They got to be. There was a lot of offense yesterday. You're right. Just when we showed up to the park and get off the bus, you know, you look out, and it's a small park anyway, but you look out and see that flag out in the outfield blowing straight out, and then watching BP, and then taking BP and watching balls just be put into orbit out into the top of those trees. Yes, that's an intimidating experience for those pitchers that are going to be throwing in that game.
Well, it was 29 runs total. Orleans had 17, and like you said, that wind was just blowing straight out to center field all night. But so I have to ask, what did you guys see specifically from these guys in recent games practices? Was there one thing that stuck out that kind of led you to believe that you're going to have something's going to click sooner or later, and you guys are going to start going off like yesterday?
Sure. Well, those hitters are putting in a lot of work, getting with Benny, coming out early, putting in early work, and it's paying off. You know, I think what you've seen in the last few games has been just that, their hard work paying off in the game. You know, just better at-bats, better timing, guys on pitches, taking the bad ones, swinging at the good ones. I think since the start of the season, things have kind of settled down emotionally. The emotions have kind of, you know, things have come down to a level where guys are relaxing and playing a little more. And yesterday, I think, was an example of what happens when all those things come together.
A couple touchdowns and a field goal on the scoreboard yesterday against YD, and it'll be the Hyannis Harborhawks taking on the Orleans Firebirds right here at Eldridge Park, coming up at the top of the hour. But I want to talk about the lineup for a second. There's a few adjustments today. Greg Allen is back in. Wolf Fulmer is out. We'll hit on him in a second and his injury. But Jordan Betts is a guy who's now had 3 straight multi-hit games. He's sitting at that number 8 slot. Is it just let's kind of keep it balanced? If you have somebody in that bottom part of the order who can start ripping bombs eventually, like Jordan has done the last handful of games?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. Looking at our lineup, really top to bottom, a lot of good hitters in there, all good hitters in there. And so those guys, even that aren't in the middle, like a Jordan Betts, down there a little bit lower, very capable of doing damage. And he's had a couple of hot games and swinging the bat the way that he's able to. I think, you know, it starts in batting practice and the early work and all the work that he's putting in there. But you see it in batting practice. You see the takes in the game, the swings in the game. You can tell he's on it right now. So yeah, that's great to see. It's great to see it pay off for him like that.
And he had a home run yesterday in that big victory. As it's Coach Jason Brown here joining us on the pregame show. I want to hit on Will Fulmer. He went down in the first inning, unfortunately. You know, his first at-bat of yesterday's game. He's got a left ankle injury, left leg injury, and we don't know the specifics yet. He says he'll be back soon, but what do you lose from someone like Will Fulmer, who's been getting on base, hustling in, you know, out on the field, up at the plate as well? What do you lose for this guy now who could be gone for a handful of days and maybe a week time frame? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's going to be a loss. You know, Will's been doing a great job on defense, his versatility, being able to play different positions, the way he's swinging the bat, getting on base. That's why he's in that leadoff spot at the top of the lineup, because he's really been doing a great job in that role. So we will miss him, but like you said, we got Greg Allen in there tonight. Very capable of doing the same thing, and an exciting player to watch. And you know, so he's coming off of being banged up, a little ankle injury himself, and we'll be back in there tonight. So all the confidence that Greg's going to step in and pick up right where, you know, in that role that Will's been in for us, and do a great job just like Will was doing. But he will be missed. Kind of a funny thing with the injury is nobody really saw it. You know, in that dugout yesterday, it's like he runs through the base and everything looked normal, and then he's down, and this guys, you know, are asking around and, hey, you see it? What happened? What? Nobody saw it. So yeah, it's early. You know, just happening yesterday, so hard to say how long it will be, but hopefully not too long, and we'll get Will back in there. And
we'll wish him the best in his recovery over these next couple of weeks or so. But as Coach Jason Brown here joining us on the Firebirds Extra pregame show, and you throughout your professional career played as a catcher. You've worked a lot with these catchers throughout your years here in Orleans. You got 2 great ones this year, Riley Moore and Colin Slabaugh, guys that not only racking up the hits right now, but what do the two of them bring to the table defensively? They've thrown out runners already. They're solid back behind the plate. What do you like from their game, just from a defensive leadership standpoint behind the plate?
There's a lot to like. Both of them are just what you said. They're leaders. What we've seen so far, yes, you see the most visible things, them throwing out runners, and but the little things that they do, they're both very smart. I think they have a feel for calling a game and handling pitchers. You know, those mound trips, they always have good input, good things to say in the dugout, in the bullpens. They have a feel for reading hitters, putting down the right fingers at the right time. Really a good sense of the game. And so, especially over the summer, you know, it's great to have a guy back there that's capable of doing that all the time. But, you know, in most college programs, most of the game is run from the dugout, where, you know, catchers are not calling their own games or have much input as far as picks and pitch outs and different defensive aspects. But here we're pretty hands off. You know, those guys are on their own for calling pitches. Picks and pitch outs is something that comes from the dugout, but because of that freedom that those guys have to call their own game, and really the responsibility that comes with it in kind of running things behind the plate, great to have two guys back there that are advanced for their level at doing that.
And you'll see both of them in the lineup today. They've gotten off to great starts early on in this Cape League season. Coach, we'll finish up on this. You got a familiar face back here at Eldridge Park. Jake Hernandez is making an appearance back. He's played for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks this past year, was with you guys last summer. How gratifying is it to see Jake up here for a third summer, a catcher who really played phenomenal all throughout last year?
Yes, great to see him back. Speaking of catchers, yeah, we got a Firebird catcher on the other side tonight, but really great for Jake. Unfortunately for us, the Firebirds, it didn't work out, you know, roster-wise, contract-wise, for Jake to come back and be with us again this summer. But for him to have a spot and to be playing in the Cape again for a third summer, and the exposure and all the good things that go along with that, happy for him. Really excited to see. It is going to be a little different, you know, seeing him over there in a blue uniform tonight, but hopefully he takes it easy on the Birds tonight.
Well, you'll have to ask for a little bit of mercy, I guess, but I think that's the biggest difference. Red, and now he trades it in for a bright blue jersey for the Harbor Hawks. It's Coach Jason Brown here joining us on the Firebirds Extra pregame show. And Coach, thanks as always for stopping by. Good luck today.
Thank you.